As always, I would like to welcome you back to OptiStar's monthly webinar series. This month, I will be talking about your email inbox. Now, this can be a touchy subject for some people, and I've been working in IT for almost 25 years now, and I have encountered some people over the years with a lot of inbox issues. Some live in denial of just how bad the situation is. Others live in fear of being overwhelmed by it. And I am not kidding when I say I once worked with a client who swears that they actually quit a previous job just to get out from under the email. Now, whether you're a piler or a filer, managing your inbox can help you get more organized, maybe even improve your job performance. In any case, I assure you it will definitely make your IT guys feel a lot better. Now, let's discuss what I like to call the 4 true outcomes of an organized inbox. Now, a wise old sage once taught me these outcomes many years ago. This email Mr. Miyagi told me that these are the 4 outcomes we should be looking for in every email interaction we receive. The first outcome is delete it. That's pretty cut and dried. Does this message have any impact on my current or future tasks, or my current or future responsibilities, or my current or future obligations? If the answer is no, then delete it and move on. This is most of the allowed junk mail we receive throughout the day, or the office-wide announcements that don't involve you. Next is do it. If this is this something that needs to be done? Needs to be done by me, or do I need to find someone to do it? If so, then delegate it right away. Figure out who needs to actually do that task and forward the message on to them. If it's your task to complete, then ask yourself if it needs to be done right now, or can I defer it? Now, of course, these are oversimplified outcomes. There are obviously gray areas between each of these outcomes, but the majority of the time I find these are the eventual true outcomes for every email I receive. Now, how do you go about doing this the best way? And how can Outlook help you do it? Well, if your existing inbox situation is still salvageable, and I assure you it is, then you will need to start with getting it under control. If you're one of those people who has allowed their email situation to grow into a seemingly untenable morass, then you may think this isn't possible, but there may still be hope for you yet. Now, I said before that most of us fall into 2 groups when it comes to email. There are the filers, like myself, who tend to create many folders for different subjects and then file all of our emails into those folders. This tends to create a nice, clean, tidy appearance in the inbox. And while for our personalities, it can be helpful to not be overwhelmed by the volume, it's not always helpful when you file away something important and you can't remember which of the multiple folder subjects it fit into at the time. There's also the pilers. Now, at first glance, one system might seem to take preference over the other, but this is just an appearance. Studies have shown that while both systems can work for the individual personality types that employ them, the reality is that neither is really that much more effective than the other. Filers have pretty folders for everything, but they also tend to hold on to way more junk for way more longer a time than they need to, because they never review those files or folders. Pilers may have everything in one place, but it takes longer to find what they need when they need it in this enormous single folder. But they also tend to be far more willing to simply delete things when the time comes. So folders are a way to organize how you store your emails, while categories are a way to organize emails visually in your inbox using color codes. I've seen some arguments out there on which of these is best for organizing your email, and personally I see that as a pointless argument. For me, the question isn't which of these to use, but rather why not use both? I'm going to show you an inbox management method today that involves using just 3 action folders and all the categories that you could possibly think you will need. Now, this method requires what I believe are the only 3 folders you need: to do, follow-up, and non-urgent. Obviously, you can create folders for more permanent sorting of things, of items into clients or projects. But these will be the 3 folders that you will work out of the majority of the time. Categories are by definition unique to each of us, so I'll show you how to set them up, but they will be unique to you. So let's take a look at creating folders and categories in Outlook. Okay, we'll be working again today with my favorite office dog, Stanley. So there's several ways to create new folders in Outlook, and I'll cover a couple of them today. To begin with, select the location where you want to create your new folder or folders. I'll choose the inbox. Now the Outlook ribbon features a tab called Folder, and you can select this tab and then click the New Folder button to create a new folder in that selected location. You can also right-click the selected location with your mouse and choose New Folder from the menu to create a new folder in the same location. Now I'm going to create all 3 of those action folders I mentioned earlier right under my inbox. A to-do folder, a follow-up folder, and a non-urgent folder. Now let's manage those categories as well. So you want to, at this point, select or open an email in your inbox, and in the Home ribbon again, on the Message tab, there's a pull-down menu called Categorize. You can also get to this same menu by simply right-clicking any email in your inbox and selecting the Categorize option. Now, this will show you a menu of categories available. By default, Outlook has 6 colors already set up here, but you can manage the list by selecting the All Categories option at the bottom. And in this window, you can now set your own desired categories. These can range from a few simple choices like urgent or for later or things like that. And you can also assign colors to, say, a client or to a project. Really, whatever works best for you. In Stanley's case, we're going to organize by his 3 basic job goals: eat, walk, and sleep. Now I'm going to use the existing red color for eat because that's the most important one. We've used green for walk, and we'll use blue for sleep. Now, if I wanted to, I could click the New button and create a brand new category as well. And especially after I run out of the original 6, that's a good idea. Now, I can also delete any categories I don't want to see or use anymore. And when I'm done, I will click OK, and I'm returned to my message. Now I can categorize this message with one of my new options. I'm going to go ahead and choose the red option here. We're going to make this one important, and we're going to choose the second menu option here. We're going to set this one, say, for, let's go with sleep. We'll make that one blue. And then this last one, well, because we need a green one, let's just go with green and set this one for walk. Now we have our 3 categories set, and that's going to help us a lot more in the next step when we have to locate and organize this message. Okay, now what? Now that we have our 3 key folders and a couple of categories to work with, let's start organizing the mail we already have. I'm going to suggest challenging yourself to just tackle the top 100 messages currently sitting in your inbox. Eventually, you can commit to the full Monty and start digging through the older stuff, but let's start small and then go big. Let's start with making the process easy using favorites and reordering your existing folders. I'm always surprised by how few people take advantage of what I consider to be Outlook's most useful feature, the favorites. Located in the top left corner of Outlook, the favorites section is a place where you can highlight your most used folders in Outlook. Now by default, it usually contains the inbox, sent items, and deleted items. But you can add folders to this list, as well as remove folders from this list. Just right-click any folder in your Outlook tree and select Add to Favorites. That adds a shortcut to that folder to the Favorites section. Now, if you want to remove a folder, well, you just right-click that folder in the Favorites section and select the option to Remove from Favorites. Now, I'm going to move all 3 of those newly created action folders to the Favorites section. This will make it much easier to manage these folders. And I will also be removing any default folders that remain that I no longer need quick favorite access to anymore. Now these other folders below, they may not be your favorites, but they are still useful to you. By default, when you create a new folder, Outlook places that folder in alphabetical order under its parent folder. This is logical for a machine, but as a human, you may want to relocate that folder so it's easier to work with in the future. You can do this by clicking and dragging a folder to your preferred location. They're your folders, so put them where you want them to make them more useful for you. right, so now our action folders are created, our categories are set up, and we're ready to start moving our mail. Remember though, I just want you to concentrate on those 100 messages, that 100 message challenge to get started, so you don't feel overwhelmed. So don't start moving everything around all at once. Let's look at the many ways to accomplish this, and then you can choose the way that works best for you. The first step to applying my suggested program is to categorize your mail. While I believe this step will make it easier to move the messages into their correct folders, it's not a necessary step. You can start moving messages right away, but I believe assigning categories will make it easier to sort them, and in the future may even make it easier to search for specific messages within your action folders. For instance, if you assign the color red to a particular client or a project, well then when you go through your to-do folder later, you will immediately know which of those messages are related to that particular client or project. Now, using the categorize method we discussed earlier, just go along those first 100 messages in keeping with our stated challenge and decide what to do with them once and for all. Assign them a category of your choosing. In Stanley's case, we'll mark it as either eating, walking, or sleeping. Did I mention that a message can have multiple categories? No? Well, I'm mentioning it now. You can assign multiple categories to a message if you need to do so. Now that they're categorized and I can easily see my colored rectangles to make each message identifiable from a glance, I'm ready to assign them to their appropriate action folder. Now, moving messages in Outlook can be done by using the Move tool. You can access this by selecting a message and either using the Home ribbon and then clicking the Move pull-down menu, or you can right-click a message directly and then select the same Move option from that menu. However, it's much easier to just drag messages right from the inbox and into the desired action folder. And if you added those folders to the favorite menu as I suggested, well then that's even easier to do now. You can just drag them straight over to there and drop. You can also select multiple mail messages using the Control-Click method or the Shift-Click method. Look at that, inbox shrink. Now I just prepared a potentially radical new way to take back the power over your inbox, but you may be saying to yourself, gee Glenn, I don't know if I'm ready to take such a giant leap. I understand completely. I wanted to show you this method, to you so that you know it exists. You can do with it what you will at this point. You can follow it blindly, or you can mix and match my ideas with some other ideas you may have seen in the past, or instead use an idea you liked better that you might have found out on the interwebs, or you can just take some time to think about it. What I've just shown you is not the only way to organize your inbox. There are a lot of great ideas out there, and maybe one of those will work better for you. Let's say you don't want to jump into the deep end of the pool yet. You just want to change the way you deal with email, in an easier way. If you just want to do a little cleanup work, well, make a few adjustments to your existing setup. Then let's review a few other tools in Outlook to help you gain more control over your inbox. The focused inbox is enabled in Outlook for Office 365 by default. The focused inbox intelligently pre-sorts your emails so you can focus on what matters. It places your most important emails in a focused section and the rest in other. Its purpose is to create an inbox that feels right to you. The automated system takes into account emails and contacts with whom you interact most and filters out noisy sources like automatically generated or bulk email. The more you use it, the better it gets. And you can easily reclassify emails between focused and other. Just right-click a message in either section. If Stanley wants to move this message to other, then the first choice does that. If you wanted to move all messages from me to other, then the second choice would do that. Messages in the other box can be reclassified using the same steps, just with different words. Now, if you'd like to turn the focused inbox itself off or on, just go to the View ribbon and then switch the focused inbox toggle. The conversation cleanup feature in Outlook can reduce the number of messages in your mail folders. Redundant messages throughout a conversation are moved to the deleted items folder. Conversation cleanup evaluates the contents of each message in a conversation. If it's completely contained within one of the replies, the previous message is deleted. Conversation cleanup is most useful on conversations with many responses back and forth, especially with many recipients. You'll see the options here to clean up folder, which reviews all conversations within the folder, and clean up folder and subfolders, which does the same but all the way through individual subfolders as well. Going into Outlook options, you can change the conversation cleanup settings in the Mail section under the conversation cleanup. Here you give Outlook instructions on how you would like to handle your cleanup operation. This next tool is similar to the cleanup tool, but instead it can be used to create rules to manage your choices in the future. But it is only available to use in the Microsoft 365 Outlook on the Web application. It is not currently available in the Outlook desktop application. Now you can access Outlook on the web by opening your web browser and then typing in outlook.office.com as the destination. Now from the Outlook web app, you would select any mail conversation and you will see the sweep option appear on the toolbar with the broom icon. Selecting this will open up your available options. Now these options apply for all messages from this sender. You can move all messages from the inbox folder or move all messages from the inbox in any future messages. This is that rule I mentioned. Or always keep the latest message and move the rest, or always move messages older than 10 days. You would select your destination folder, click OK, and the rule has been created. Now, while you have to use the OWA web interface in order to use this tool, the changes you make here will apply to your Outlook desktop application as well. And there you have it. A few tools that you can begin using right away to make your inbox a little more useful. Now you're ready to fly on your own. But if you, like me, feel the need to change the way you manage your inbox permanently in order to improve your job performance or just lower your stress levels, then I would strongly advise you to consider implementing some of the more radical suggestions I made earlier. Creating your action folders and take action to improve your email quality of life. As always, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.